What is manifestation? Hello there, my friends. I just watched a video from a lady named Jills with a Z. Maybe I should put a Z in my YouTube channel name, make me more popular. It's more of a marketing thing. You guys tell me in the comments below. I appreciate it. I wanted to have an open mind about this. I really did, because I was talking about manifesting things with her feminine energy. And I'm always interested in these sorts of things because I'm a rather practical guy. And so whenever I hear these kinds of things, I'm like, all right, hocus pocus magic. And it is October, so we are in that month of, these kinds of magical things. And I teach D&D. I love magical things. So but I know the difference between imagination and reality. Right. So but I came into it with an open mind, I thought, as open as my mind can be. And I listened to her talk about this manifestation. So what's manifestation? Well, at first it seems like it's hocus pocus, right? It's like the wish spell in D&D. Like, I wish I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee. And then all of a sudden, poof, a Jeep Grand Cherokee appears in the driveway. But no, she was talking about this, and she talked about it with some extra layer of that kind of stuff. But she actually had some practical things that I had read in and have read in Stoic philosophy, because I read a lot of the Stoics, and things that are used in like business techniques, like psychology, actually, self-motivation, like things that actually work, like happiness psychology and motivational stuff. So here's what I got from Jill's. She's talking about focusing, journaling, these sorts of techniques. That stuff can work. Okay. So when my mind is focused, let's say I have a friend who just messaged me and he wants me to join his fantasy football team. And I said, no. And the reason why is because, well, first of all, the season's already started, so he obviously needs help. Plus, he said it's an expensive league, so he basically wants me to give him half the money for something that he's already involved with, and I don't know what his record is. Anyway, I don't have the time. There's other stuff I want to do, like these kinds of videos, and watch the stock market and make actual money instead of winning a couple $100 at a fantasy football game. And I tell my friends all this all the time. If you spend as much time watching the market as you do on fantasy football, you'd be rich. I mean, richer than you are now, because people go with this, and I do, and I have gone with this with alacrity, really invest time in this. So basically what Jill's is saying about manifestation is really about focus. Right? It's about focus. And it's not just the Stoics talked about this. Marcus Aurelius talked about, where you focus your mind, right? But actually Lao Tzu talked about it. The Buddha talked about it. Where you focus your energies, that's where your attention is going to be, and that's where your opportunities are going to be as a result, right? Because you're going to see those opportunities you wouldn't have seen if you were sitting around on Sunday watching 3 games of football, which nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. But if you were instead watching the fact that the government shutdown got delayed by 45 days and therefore stocks are going to pop on Monday morning as a result, because everybody's happy, because nobody wants, the last thing the market wants is for the economy to shut down, right? If you know these things, then there are opportunities available to you that there wouldn't be otherwise, right? So is that manifestation? What you're manifesting, what you're doing is you're focusing your mind on a certain way of looking at the world, okay? Are you actually magically casting a spell and then all of a sudden you have stocks in your portfolio? No, you have to do the research and you have to go buy those stocks. You have to have the money to buy those stocks. You have to set up an account where you can buy those stocks, right? So yes and no. I guess it depends on how you phrase it, really. Back to the cars thing, when she was talking about manifesting a Jeep Grand Cherokee and hanging out with people that have those. Let's say you want a classic car, right? How do you get a classic car? I mean, sure, you can go look around on Facebook Marketplace and try to find one, but you go to a classic car show, right? You go where people who are doing what you want to do and have already done it, you go to them, right? Okay. So like, you watch YouTube, like you're watching this YouTube channel, you want to know about manifestation, I assume. Or you're just watching me because I don't know why. Because I don't have a Z in my name. But yeah, you go, so you go to a classic car show and you talk to people and they tell you things. They tell you things like, don't ever buy a classic car. Or if you do, if you do, you better have money, or you better know how to fix it, and you better have a garage. It's not going to run all the time. It's hard to get parts. They're going to tell you all this stuff, but you're not just going to like say, I want a 57 Chevy, and poof, it's going to be there like on the street in front of your house. Or if you manifested a driveway, it's going to be in your driveway. So you know what I'm saying? The same thing with like the stock. And she was talking about rich people, right? She was talking about hanging around rich people because she wants to manifest wealth. And she was talking about going on vacation and going to some swank bar in like, I don't know, Miami, I think it was. And she's talking about all these theories she has about money and rich people and how they manifest money because they come from money. The fact is, if you're second generation wealth, or if you're third generation wealth, that there are opportunities available to you that aren't available to people who are first generation wealth. It's a fact, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I love America. I love our country. I love the fact that as countries and societies go, I still believe this is the place to generate wealth, right? There are more opportunities here, I believe, than anywhere that I know of outside of the United States. Now, you can tell me that I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear your arguments. If you're from France and you say, no, France, you can make a ton of money, and here's how, that's fine. What I'm saying is like, if you're not already wealthy, you can get wealthy in the United States, and there are barriers, but I think there are fewer institutional barriers to wealth here than there are in other countries. Now, you can tell me I'm wrong, but anyway, what she was talking about was hanging out with rich people and manifesting things because of it. That's kind of true in a sense. I do have some friends who are really wealthy, and we hang out sometimes, but I don't ask them for money, right? But we will end up talking about money in different ways. Once someone who's really wealthy, in my experience, knows that you're not after their wealth, but that you want to understand how they did it, that changes the conversation, because most people like to talk about themselves, and most people like to tell you, like, they like to give you practical, friendly advice based on their life experience, right? And this is the thing. If I'm going to take advice from somebody based on their life experience, I want to take advice from somebody who knows what they're talking about, right? So like, I don't go to like a podiatrist and tell him I have a toothache, okay? Like, he might know something a little bit about, he knows about medicine in general, but he doesn't know specifically about my tooth. I go to a dentist for that, right? So if I want to like talk to somebody about getting wealthy, I'm going to go to somebody who understands what it cost, what it was like to build wealth. And I'm probably not going to talk to somebody who inherited wealth. I'm probably going to talk to somebody who built it, and first generation, because that's my background. So, and by the way, I'm not insanely wealthy, but I have worked and used money in a way that I would say I don't feel like I don't think like I'm ever gonna skip a meal again, unless I choose to. Let's put it that way. And that's an entirely different video. But back to manifesting. So one of the things she was talking about was like visualizing. All right. So visualizing, that is a technique that goes back to the ancient Stoics, right? So the ancient Stoics would say, like, sit down, think about the best case scenario. What do you want out of this situation? What's the best result? Think of the worst result, right? What if, so like the other day I went to a convention and I spoke, And what's the worst possible thing that could have happened at that convention? The worst possible thing, I got sick and I couldn't do it, or I embarrassed myself on stage, or I said something bad on the microphone. All this, none of that stuff happened. But I saw that. I realized what the percentage of that happening was, which was very small. And I imagined the best case scenario. And the best case scenario was that I did well. I engaged with the audience. We told jokes. I just was myself. I wasn't nervous. I had a couple friends with me. I had my wife and a friend with me. We were on the panel. And we engaged the people in the room, and we left with a couple like email addresses and with people who are now like I know or interested in what I was talking about, and we're going to continue our association. So like that was the best case scenario. That's what happened. Did I manifest that? Sort of. Yeah, sort of. By like kind of psyching myself up for the best possible case and realizing that any fears that might creep into my mind, even though I wasn't afraid to speak in front of people, it's pretty obvious, that they were unrealistic or very remote, like very unlikely. So I don't know. We're over 11 minutes now, and that's what the YouTube algorithm tells me is like the most ideal length for a video. So I'm going to stop it here. If you guys will help me with the YouTube algorithm, smash like, that will help me so much. I appreciate it. If you have any questions about this, let me know, and I'll do more videos like this if you want me to. But I kind of have to, because somebody has to be out here talking about the reality, right? So when somebody says that they're into astrology, I'm like, well, I'm into astronomy. Okay, so there has to be a counter argument here. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next one.